you know it's going to be weird when it's Jordan-Hare at night, man. Georgia going to Auburn. Auburn is a 3.5-point dog at the crib, according to BetMGM. 7:30 Eastern, ABC. Man, Auburn, this is kind of your spot now. This is your spot where if you wanted to change the way you're talked about, change the way that people talk about Hugh Freeze's job, go get a win against Georgia at home. That would go a long way, right? Now, Georgia, you got back on the right side of things against Kentucky. Looked pretty good doing it. Just slowly but surely trending in the right direction, as Georgia has been known to do under Kirby Smart. They're going to play their best ball in November. Do we see a hiccup in this spot against Auburn? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Auburn offensively, I think there's two things to watch. One, does Auburn get a chance to take advantage of the Georgia secondary that we've seen look a little bit suspect different points throughout the year? I mean, Tennessee took him for 371. Ty Simpson took him for 270. There's plays to be out there. And Auburn's wide receiving core, I think, is good enough to take advantage of it. But you only get to do that if Jackson Arnold shows up and delivers the mail. Now, he only gets to do that if he's able to be protected by Auburn's offensive line. So that's a whole thing to watch in and of itself. But the other thing to watch here, I keep saying this on this show and I'm waiting for it to actually come to fruition. Hugh Freeze in big spots historically has been something to be reckoned with, at least to be accounted for, maybe is the better way to phrase it. Georgia came to Auburn in 2023, and Peyton Thorne threw for less than 100 yards, and Auburn lost the game by a touchdown. Why? Because Hugh Freeze dialed up a bunch of window dressing, perimeter run game was going crazy. Auburn ran the football that day for over 200 yards. And again, there was no presence of a pass game. Hugh Freeze, you want to win this football game? This might be the time to dial up a scheme like that. Maybe it doesn't look the same way because I think Auburn and how they are running the football is different than what they were in that spot. But all that's to say, you need something like that to beat this Georgia football team, all right? Auburn defensively, I think, actually matches up a little bit better than most folks realize in that front seven. Auburn's been great against the run this year. Top 10 when it comes to yards per carry allowed. I believe they're up there as well when it comes to yards a game allowed on the ground. Auburn is going to bring something. Top 10 in sack rate. Auburn's going to bring something in that front seven. So for Georgia, that's kind of been your bread and butter, right? Downhill run game. Ran the ball really effectively against Alabama. Ran the ball super effectively against Tennessee. Kind of a statement drive to open that second half against Tennessee, if you will. So remember that. Does Auburn defensively have enough with Jordan-Hare at their back at night to make this weird? That's my big task for Auburn here. Can you make it weird? Because weird plus first-year starting quarterback on the road in Gunnar Stockton at night, I like that formula for Auburn to give them a better chance to win this game. Quite frankly, I think that's why you see this spread as close as it is, being Georgia only favored by 3.5 on the road. Now, if I'm Mike Bobo, I hear that, I appreciate that, I receive that, but I don't care. I'm not changing my game plan. I am battering ram. I am downhill. We're going to test that front seven that's got all these great numbers next to their name and how they do against this, that, and the other kind of defense, or kind of offense rather. Okay, that's great, but we'll see. Because it's one thing to do that on paper. It's another to have power run downhill coming at you. I think for Georgia, I like them a lot better downhill when they're pulling a tackle or pulling a guard. I think they've had more success with that whenever I've seen them on the field, that is. That's just kind of a thought I have on this game. But right in line with that, I do think that the Auburn defense, the way they flow, is something that actually might be advantageous for Mike Bobo in this game. Because he catches a lot of flack, does Mike Bobo, for how he calls the offense. It's too east-west. It's too sideline to sideline. Yeah, maybe so. But Mike Bobo got in the bag a little bit last weekend with Dylan Bell, showing a little bit of misdirection there. I'm curious to see how Mike Bobo calls the offense against the grain of that Auburn flow. Because they're aggressive, man. They're downhill with bad intentions, all good things. But with Zachariah Branch on the perimeter, a little tunnel screen action, something to watch. Gunnar Stockton in the quarterback design run game, something to watch. Those things against an aggressive downhill defense with that much flow, misdirection, I think, could crease in a big way for Georgia in this game. Something to watch for. So like I said, a lot of weird vibes from this game. But in a spot like this where I think there's so much weird to be had, it becomes about the road quarterback. And that being Gunnar Stockton to me, I think it's going to take something from him that we haven't seen just yet to this point in the season from Gunnar Stockton, and that's him flinching. And that paired with what Georgia has in the receiver room against this Auburn secondary, I like the Auburn secondary, but I don't trust them. I still remember Baylor going for over 400 yards against that unit. And I don't think it takes 400 yards for Georgia in this game, but I think there's enough explosive plays out there. I think there's enough physicality out there for Georgia in the run game with Gunnar Stockton involved for them to find a way to get it done. I think it is grit your teeth, close your eyes. The thing is gross if you're a Georgia fan. I think you feel good if you're an Auburn fan leaving this game from the output you saw from your football team, but still not enough on the offensive side to get it done. I think Georgia's traits show up. I think Georgia wins. I think they cover. I think it is 28-24 dogs in Jordan-Hare, so we'll take them to escape in a weird, gross, grimy game with a win on the road in SEC play as Georgia moves forward with their only loss being the Crimson Tide.